This is a Community Preservation Committee meeting, and it is April 7th. And my name is Ann Mazar, and I'm the chair of the committee, and I represent the Land Use Committee. Why don't we go around the table and introduce ourselves? Mike?
Mike Goddard, Select Board.
Dan Byer, Parks Commission.
Mike Amanda, Conservation Commission. Peter Denton, Housing Authority.
All right, we have Lori and Braza here to talk about the replacement of the water tank.
Good evening, everybody.
Hi, so do you want to kind of explain where you're at? Just give us an
Sure.
update.
Yep,
Please.
of course. I don't know if everybody has received a copy, but I know, Ann, I've sent it to you, and I know Peter being on the board as well, the Housing Authority, that I'm hoping that everybody received a copy of the last item I just sent over was the actual cost of what the job, projected cost now, what the job is going to be, but I've also sent over copies of the scope of the services. Originally, that was done back in October of 2025. I believe I've sent over the DEP, their recommendations and their inspections as well. So of course, the pump house itself, it's about 60 years old. The best that we believe it is based on the time frame when the 30 units that I manage were built. Unfortunately, over the years, I don't know where it's gone, but we do not have the original copy of the original construction. So because we don't have the copy of the original construction, there's going to be, testing for lead and asbestos and so forth. So originally, when this was just a quick scope without getting some engineers involved, originally they said it would probably cost us about $95,000. I've had issues probably over the last 5 or 6 years where we've had to replace a couple of pumps. And our residents have gone without water anywhere between 24 to 48 hours. In the meantime, we did have an agency come out and do a study, CA Crowley, which you should have their reports and their schematics in front of you. And it was determined that the total cost of the project would be about $183,000. But in the meantime, I prepared myself as we did these tank investigations, and I've been putting money away for my capital fund money as much as I could towards the program. Currently, in our capital fund, we only have approximately about 126 to, I think it's 126 to $129,000. So unfortunately, I'm sure most of you are aware with all the cutbacks this year from the state, there's no additional monies that I can allocate towards this project. So ultimately, at the end of the day, I'm looking or I'm requesting if, with assistance from your committee, to help us with some of the financing. So I was looking for about $50,000, between $50,000 and $60,000 from your committee. So at this point, we have to replace the tank. The tank is a little bit over, I think it's like 1,600 gallons. It is their main water supply. In the last year and a half, I've spent out of our reserves about $20,000. We've had tanks and pumps go down when we lose power. Unfortunately, when you lose power, you have to have someone come out and do testing. It's a requirement of DEP. DEP also has give us about a 12-month an extension to fix the deficiencies, or we're going to start to get fined. I don't know if anyone has any specific questions, but has everybody be able to see all the reports and the last cost factor I sent over?
We have the last cost factor.
Okay.
And do you have the reports?
Yeah, I think I sent them originally back after we had the first meeting when I received one of them. The first original one I think I sent was the scope of the services was back from October 16th of 2025. And then as soon as I received the inspection from DEP, I believe I sent that over as well specifying the 6 deficiencies the DEP brought to my attention. I can resend everything to you, of course, if you'd like. But the bottom line is that the tank itself has to be replaced. We are, of course, trying to keep whatever we can. I have replaced one of the main pumps, so that's not even in the scope of the work. We've replaced some of the electrical inside the actual pump house because we've had some issues there. We've replaced a couple of other items on the outside. We are keeping the doors, the original doors to the pump house. We're just going to refurbish and make sure that they're secure and they're sealed so there's no moisture that gets into the pump house to try to, keep down the cost factor as well. So as if you see in front of you, you have the estimate of costs, and this, we've already paid for the actual investigation through CA Crowley out of our reserves as well. There's going to be quite a few reimbursables as well. My understanding, the project was going to take anywhere between 8 and 24 weeks. So the biggest concern I have with this is, of course, we're trying to keep our residents, all 30 units, keeping the residents being able to stay in their apartments, occupying their apartments while this all goes on. So if something goes south, then more than 48 hours, we're going to be required to put these people up at a hotel, and I'll have to take those monies from my reserves. So I don't know, do we have any specific questions, or I'm not quite sure?
We send Ann or somebody, I don't know
Yeah, I don't
what
know
the
that we
cost
got
estimate
them.
is. Or is it on the agenda?
It's on the agenda,
Oh,
yeah,
I
Mhm.
have the other doc.
yeah, the other, maybe,
I can try to.
I do think, you did send us some other documents.
You sent it
Well,
to everyone in on March 4th.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, all right. I can go back into my laptop and look for it. The other two, I believe the DEP and then also the original scope of services back from October of 2025, I can send to the committee as well. I thought I sent everything, but
yeah, I think
no
you did.
worries. Yep.
I just-
Yep. So ultimately, I mean, it is their water source. It's something I have to get done regardless. I have, as I said earlier, I've had to use quite a bit of my reserves in order to deal with the issues in the last year, as things have rised. So it has to be replaced. I'm not sure how we're going to do, but certainly any assistance from your committee would be greatly appreciated.
Are there any questions right now? Or do you want to, what?
Exactly, I'll substantiate what she said in terms of the urgency, definitely dealing with water. If it gets to a point where the cost to deal with the problems far exceed, like every time it goes down, you gotta go through a whole mountain of testing. So I
Yeah.
definitely understand that part of it.
Yeah, one of the
You
things
don't-
that just occurred, I don't mean to interrupt you, Dan. One of the things in this past year, when we had an issue where one of the original pumps went down, the pump help itself, the tank, you have to drain it in order to do the work. And typically it takes about a day and a half for it to bring the water table back up, I guess. So I have to truck in water. And that usually costs me anywhere between $5,000 and $8,000, and that's happened twice. And on top of that, the residents have gone without waters for 24 hours, where I've had to pay staff overtime, including myself, where we have to provide cases of water so that they're able to either water to cook, water to flush down in their toilets. It really is every time something goes wrong, we have to step it up. And so, as you know, we manage it, and I have a staff of 7 in Milford. So it's all hands on deck, including myself, would I have to pay everybody overtime. So it's very, very costly. Some of it, as far as the testing piece of it, because it's required by DEP, I do get reimbursed from the state for the testing piece of it, but the rest of it I do not. So such as, having to bring a tanker in with water, I have to take that money from somewhere else, and the last couple of times it's been from my reserves. Um, I don't know, Peter, if you wanna, Peter's on our board, and usually when that happens, of course, I have to bring it forward to the board and explain my expenses. So it's happened several times and it continues to happen. This has to be done. The goal is, if we can move forward and we find the monies to go forward with this, this will be done before the end of the summer. That is the goal.
Okay, did everyone get a chance to read the letter I sent? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, because I thought that kind of laid it out.
Eligible use,
What?
the eligible
Yes,
use, yeah.
yeah.
I read that to mean that it is an eligible use. Can I interpret that correctly?
I kind of feel like that
Yes. it's
too.
a replace it.
Instead of just telling her, don't make it done reading the letter.
Yeah.
You do-
Excuse me.
Specifically calls out replacement of dangerous building systems.
It's-
Right.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm for it. The question I have is what's the right amount? When I hear
Yes.
about, the use of reserves in other areas that this couldn't be used for. I know 60 is a number that has been discussed. Is that the right number?
she said between 50 and 60. I mean, first
Yeah.
it was 30,000, but then she found twice as much.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I honestly,
Yeah,
we,
that's-
what's that? I'm sorry?
That was a different question, but I was gonna say, what is the current balance in the housing account? Just,
And the housing account, yeah,
okay,
yeah, so we, and
I-
this year,
what's,
we'll get, this 66,000 in there.
and what's coming, and then what's coming down the road, it sounds like potentially whatever Dylan's working on, an RFP. Just in terms of what's the right amount, what else do we have to be worried about having to fund from housing?
I mean, the other thing that, well, we did try to get affordable housing on 52, and we
Right.
set aside 500,000 because you need to,
And that's-
support the developers. And so at this town meeting, which we'll vote on, I'd like to transfer that 500,000 to 75. And so she's working with Habitat for Humanity, and so, and some other organizations put a bid out, but,
The same money, just try something else.
So Dylan's project you're referring to is the same as 75?
mm,
So funding Dylan's project is that $500,000 you're already
Yes.
allocated?
that's at 52,
Right.
take 75.
Doesn't impact the 315 balance I see here.
No.
Right.
Then the only other thing is, which I don't think we really discussed, did Bob Sweet come to this committee? I know he came with the land use committee. But he's wanting to build like 42 units on Route 16. And only 10% were gonna be affordable, so we could use some CPA money to encourage them to do more affordable. So that would be the other, possible use of money that we have, but
Are we allowed, I guess that's a whole different, that's an allowed thing?
because developers
So we're subsidizing more. Okay.
subsidize them, right? So that's, I would say, the only things on the horizon.
What happened when I scrolled down this?
Yeah, I tried.
But that's 315 after the 60,000,
Yes.
Yeah.
assuming we approve that,
That's the end of
and the
the
planners.
Yeah, and I put the water
And
tank in,
increase.
well, and I put the water tank, in there, so that you could see the
Yeah,
FY
Okay.
27.
so
If 60 is the number, I'm comfortable based on the spreadsheet you put together.
Will someone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve allocation of $60,000 out of the affordable housing account to fund or partially fund the water tank replacement in the Sunrise apartments.
Second.
Okay, any more discussion?
just, do we wanna make sure, I don't know if the motion needs to be less restricted, just water tank, or if that's enough towards the
I
project?
think it's towards the project.
Okay,
Yeah,
Well,
just because I know sometimes we get stuck with
There's associated expenses
weird
with it.
wording things.
Yeah.
You don't want it just for the tank, you want it for the.
Right.
Tank is X amount of money.
Well, for available. So the question to this, I would say, in terms of that motion, would be, are we expecting any excesses to be returned? Because the way it's worded, it would be that she could apply the full 60, and then the balance from other sources, that her reserves would be less impacted, or do we
Basically
say?
what it's gonna be.
As it's worded, it's sort of,
Yeah.
we're allocating 60, we're not really expecting return because there's more than $60,000 of affordable work.
Oh, yeah.
Work here,
Yeah,
okay?
that'd be my guess anyway.
Well, if I was Laura, I'd probably say that's right.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'll comment on it, but I'm abstaining from voting, obviously.
Would you have to abstain?
Yeah, actually, I think this is potentially the reason you're on this committee.
Yeah,
Housing,
yeah.
you have to pay for housing projects.
Yeah.
You personally get nothing out of it.
Right, you don't live there, so.
No,
Yeah.
no, no, if that's not gonna get anybody in, this,
No, and and Kathy's here now
I take
too.
that test every year.
Okay, so are we ready to vote then?
It's no further discussion, right?
Anybody else has any thoughts, but
All
maybe
right,
just Kathy.
It's gonna be a roll call.
all right. All those in favor?
Goddard, aye.
Dan, I.
Mental aye. Peter Denton, aye.
Kathy?
Kathy, I.
Mazar, aye. All right.
Okay.
You
Thank
got
you
it,
so much,
Lori.
everyone.
Yeah.
Much appreciated. So, if I just may ask one more question. So, when is the town meeting? Or when do you actually vote on the monies per se?
It's like May 12th or
May
something?
12th.
May 12th?
Okay, all right. So I'm gonna go back. So the next stage will be once I hear back from you, I guess who would I be in contact in regards to, so I guess once we put out the bid, we can just go from there. Does anyone want to be a part of that bid process with us, or how does that work when, you actually, allocate money towards us?
Sure.
How does it work with your committee? I know it's a little different.
Maybe, yeah.
I think once we allocate the money in terms of any sort of money movement, would that be through the finance team and Jeremy?
Okay,
Coordinate?
Yeah, I'd like to know though, when you're spending, just so I can keep track of our finances,
Yeah,
the community
of course.
conservation.
Yeah. Yep. So the way- yeah.
Anyways, in terms of the bid, like, would you be a part of that, Peter? The bid process?
He would bid on the lowest bidder. They'd bid on the lowest bidder. So I
Right.
work with the state and, the person who's helping me run the project. And then once we put out the bid and go through the whole process, then I bring it forward to the board to, with a recommendation for the lowest bidder. And then from there, we move on. But in regards to keeping a checklist and the money spent, that's a very, specific process. We use a system called CapHub. It's a state process when you're doing a project. So I mean, I could keep someone in the loop, and of course, making sure that that where every dollar is spent, of course.
Lori Ann, there's an application to fill out for CPA.
Okay.
So I'll
Okay.
mail that to you and you can attach all the, information that you gave us and.
All right. Is there a due date on that? I'm actually leaving tomorrow for a 5-day vacation. So
Oh, no, I mean, yeah,
okay.
the next month is fine.
Oh,
that-
perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much, all of you, for taking the time to listening and to assisting me with this project. I much appreciate it.
Good luck with it.
All right. Thank you. Have a good night.
Stay out of the sun.
Thank you. Bye.
Mhm.
Can't forget that island everybody goes to.
Cancun? I don't know. But I guess that's Cozumel.
Aruba.
Aruba. Did you have a chance to read the minutes? Last meeting?
I'm fine with
Someone make a motion?
Make a motion, we accept the minutes of the meeting, where are we, this is April 9th meeting.
March 3rd.
Second.
You vote, you ready?
I was saying.
Okay.
Dan, I.
I'm in the way, yeah, Ben, Peter,
Kathy?
I.
And
you're not here, C3,
3.
26 meetings.
Does that doesn't sound right?
I don't know. Ben.
You could have done it online. Yeah, that's the date.
Okay.
That's right. Okay, the next item is, so at the last meeting, we voted to spend money on the Open Wall Farm Preserve Passive Recreation Plan. And I thought it was gonna be $26,000, but it's, when we put it out to bid, it's $14,700. So I kind of wanted to take the vote back from last meeting and then, approve the 14,700. So I don't know if we can do that in one motion or pass it in two motions.
Are you gonna make a motion to rescind the previous vote?
Someone want to make that?
I move to rescind the last meeting vote to use up to $26,000 in the Denton NCR purchase account to fund work by the Conway School to compile a passive recreation plan for the Open Wall Farm Preserve, which is required for conservation restriction.
Second?
Okay, any discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Goddard, aye.
Yeah.
Mendeleer,
Dan, aye, sorry.
abstain.
Kathy, aye.
And May's aye, great. And then the next vote would be,
I move to transfer $14,700 from CPA Denton CR purchase account to pay Conservation Works LLC to fund work by the Conway School to compile a passive recreation plan for the Open Wall Farm Preserve, which is required for the conservation restriction.
I have to make a correction on that. It should be, CPA Conservation Works to fund, work and then cross out by the Conway School, work to compile, so I just crossed
So
out
moved.
that. Okay,
Second.
all right. Okay. Any discussion?
You.
All right, all those in favor?
Goddard, aye.
Dan, aye.
Mendeleer, aye. I'll abstain, but I got a question.
Okay,
Kathy, aye.
May's aye, okay.
Why don't it word like move, transfer up to?
Because the contract is 14,700. When we put it out to
Oh, okay.
bid, that's the
I was gonna
amount.
avoid this situation again, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
and we've worked with them. They helped us, put together the information for the Trails Grant, which we got was $100,000, and they were good to work with, so we were happy they were the low bid. Okay, so then the next thing are the annual town meeting warrant articles. So going through them, the first one is to fund the police station debt, and the amounts written down, $126,400. Would someone like to make that motion?
So moved. Second. Excuse me.
Right, any discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Goddard, aye.
Aye.
Dan, aye.
Mendeleer, aye. And aye.
Kathy, aye.
Nays are aye, all right. And then the next one is the setting aside the 10%, 65%, 5% for administration with the dollar amounts. We kind of voted on it, I don't know already, so but I figured we might as well do it with the dollar amounts.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Goddard, aye.
Dan, aye.
Mendeleer, aye. Peter, aye.
Kathy, aye.
Nays are aye. Then the next one is to, transfer the $25,000 from the paddock purchase account. And then when it was voted on, it's written down, to a new account, 73 and 75 Providence Street account for house maintenance and open space stewardship. Does someone want to make the motion, we can discuss it?
So moved. Second.
So, so that's, we saved money on the purchase because we didn't have to replace the septic system because we're hoping that someone else is going to, make it affordable and do that work. And, since we have a house there, like Dan's been coordinating electrical bills and, whatever we need to do to the house. And then, also, we will have open space in that property, and so that will give us a fund to, take care of the property. So that's why I'd like to transfer that money over. Questions?
What is going to happen with paddock property now?
Well, we're hoping to have, the house be affordable. To have the barn has to be taken down, but the foundation can be kept. And then make another 1 or 2 affordable units in that, but have it look like a barn. And then possibly like 2 to 3 units behind the house of barn. So it would just be a handful of affordable houses, but, you know, it's better to have, you know, that many than none. And so that's what, Dylan is like, we're working on that right now.
So that's, it's 75 property in the street you're describing.
Yes, 75. And then,
What's happened to 52 properties?
nothing right now.
What will be happening?
Same.
Don't know, hoping with some affordable housing, but they're still working.
That's one of the
on it.
engineering challenges, right?
Yes. There's some options that we could discuss at some point, but I don't want to do it in a public meeting because it involves the purchase of property, you know. So we can
No,
put an
this-
executive section.
Yeah, I'm just more thinking about. Well, you don't have anything where you're going to more property at this point, right? We're not really looking to purchase more property.
Yeah, I mean, but things come up, but nothing is, you know,
No, I'm just
nothing
saying
in
that,
the.
but this is
you know,
one of
right
those
now.
things that will come back to say, well, we purchased that for a reason. It'll always be a question going forward, when you go forward for more property if we do that.
Oh, absolutely, and the Community Preservation Coalition is always saying, you know, what are you gonna do with it? And, you know, I told them we're trying to put affordable on it, and they understand that it's difficult, so they've been patient,
We might have to switch gears.
Yeah.
Never use.
and, yeah. And it was open pretty much, but anyways, so that's left on the back burner right now, but,
That could come up and it could be tabled on the floor when it's come. I mean, if I was Tom, if I was the moderator, I wouldn't let those questions be answered on the floor. What we're saying, we're moving fund, we bought this thing for this purpose, we're taking all the funding there, putting it over here because I say, why are we moving it? And I could see the moderator not necessarily allowing that question because it's sort of out of scope, I guess, for the motion, but I'd just be prepared that it could be a question asked.
Well, that could be argued,
That is out of,
that, you know, that could get real,
it'd be interesting.
very interesting.
Right.
You're trying, this money swap is just for 75,
right,
got nothing to do with 62.
or 52, right?
Oh,
No, but they're both trying to be affordable, this-
True, but I mean, we're talking 62, is 62 the one at the, where the old age, I mean, senior center is?
it's the one next to it, 52, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
This article pertains just to Paddock House property.
Right,
Okay, that's
Yeah. This property also, has nice open space potential because we have the open space subdivision, the Applewood, which connects to it, and we also have the town property and some private open space, so.
I just
This
remember
makes
this was
sense.
sort of contentious when we purchased the property in terms of what we were gonna do with it, I think, if I remember correctly. So I just say this.
Yeah.
It's a,
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. There's gonna be, depending on if certain people go, there could be a ton of questions on what's happening with this property, what exactly is this money paying for?
Mhm.
Like, especially if we could have some sort of a showing the area that's being considered and that it's not,
Okay,
it's a significant distance away from the abutter, I think that was the concern, like, we're
Well-
just looking at that little front area.
yeah, and this is
I don't know,
different than what,
yeah,
you know, we were looking at
Right.
before, so, I mean, I think this is really super reasonable for this location with that amount of open space behind it.
I think the 25 article won't be as much of an issue as leftover money, right, in 25, 393.
Yes,
When you get into the 500,000, it's actually development of something. At 75, right, the next one down,
Well-
that's the one I think would raise questions, I read that correctly.
so in that one is because when you do affordable housing, you have to subsidize it.
Yeah, but we allocated it over here 2 years ago, and now we're just moving it over to here. People say, well, why didn't we do it? Why didn't we do it there? That'll be a question.
It'll have to explain that,
Yeah.
yes.
That's the only reason 52 comes up in my mind, Peter, is because we're moving,
On the second one,
Yeah.
yeah, the next one.
I was getting ahead of myself.
No, I understand what you're saying.
Okay, no.
But I will move to recommend the town transfer 500,000 from the
Yeah, we'll go on
ATM
the other.
5424, Article 28, 52 Providence Street account to into account 75 Providence Street property account for affordable housing purposes. I will make that motion.
Okay, well,
I'll
I'll
second it
take
after you
that.
vote on the other one.
Right, exactly.
Oh,
Okay.
I'm getting way ahead of
Yeah.
myself.
So we have, the other, one is Mike Amendolia made the motion, Peter seconded it, and so why don't we vote on that one for transferring that $25,000 over, okay?
Goddard, aye.
Dan,
Mentally, you're right.
Kathy?
Kathy, I.
He's all right.
Vocal up.
Okay, and then the next one is,
Second.
you did second it, you made the motion, and that's to transfer the 500,000 from 52.
That'd be interesting, because I don't know about that either. That's a.
I mean, the problem with affordable
It's tough.
housing is that
It's tough.
developers don't want to build if they don't make money, and so you just
They're
have
not
to
gonna
subsidize
do
it.
it if they can't make money.
it's not worth it for them to build again and.
Right.
They can't make money.
But it looks like they need.
Well, and the other thing is that if we work with a group like Habitat for Humanity, which is like a nonprofit, then there's a whole aspect of it where you have volunteers help out.
Mhm.
And so it's kind of a community project and they might have access to grants. So, whereas the other property, we didn't have anything going.
We tried. That'd be our.
We tried.
Twice, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So should we vote?
Goddard, aye.
Dan, I.
Mentally, yeah, you're right.
Kathy?
Kathy, I.
Made our eye. All right. Then the next one is the restoration of the historic signs, which I think we should keep on there. However, John Dudley said that Lonnie Tinio might pay for that.
So I can share the price, the information. So this is, we're just trying to find any like smaller things. I think there's some bigger things for historic, but we're not ready yet. So this is the tercentenary sign in Founder's Park that was put, there's a bunch of them all over the state in 1930. It's like a big cast painted metal sign, and then in that intersection of North Ave, there's a really old like cast metal road sign. So both of them combined, it's a shop up in Woburn. They're gonna take them, sandblast them, strip them down, and repaint them. The price was, the tercentenary sign was $44.80, and the road sign is $47.60. So the total cost, I totaled it up, was $92.40. So I'd probably say $10,000. We have to remove it and put it back up, and then the state's gonna move the one in the intersection. So we'll have to work with the state to be, where it ends up, probably in Founder's Park as well.
Yeah.
So I think, and then if someone is so kind as to donate, that would be wonderful.
Right, and so then we can just pass over
I
to,
mean,
we do get a donation for that.
as far as I know, those are the only cast metal signs. There are some flat metal, more, I don't know how historic they are, old road signs. And it would be worth exploring what might be involved to restore them, but they may not.
What do they get for a base?
Hmm?
What do those cast iron signs have for a base?
It's like it's a metal post in the ground and it's set on the top of it.
Oh.
So I assume it's in some sort of footing.
That's what I mean, I gotta give them credit, they've been there for quite a while.
Yeah, and ours, and the one side is worse than the other, the Founder's Park sign. I have some pictures if you wanna see them actually. That might be helpful.
Sure.
Hang on.
Do you want to put them on the screen?
Yeah, I'm just.
So you wanna throw this on the town meeting floor just in case?
Just
You
in
know,
case we
pass
don't get a
over.
donation, right? Yeah.
I'll make it, I'll so move.
One second. That's for 10,000, right?
Yeah.
For a placeholder.
So that's the one in Founder's Park.
Yeah.
That's one way you could say up to.
And it's not, the other side's a little worse, and then this is the one in the intersection, so like the paint is
Oh,
wrong.
yeah. Oh, yeah,
I
okay.
think there's if I have the other side of it, I think it's plain.
Oh, yeah, that would be nice to fix that up.
And then, so there's these ones at some of the town limits, and I don't know how old these are, but they're flat signs, so I'm not really sure what you do with these, other than just replace them. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's painted or,
Now, I don't know how old these are, but they're
Yeah.
still using that type of sign, today, so it's,
yeah,
I mean, it need to be neatened up, there's no question about
but
that.
like this one for sure.
Saving these things is really good. Like you say, where would they put it now? Meaning,
Maybe in the
with this
corner,
resurrection and everything.
maybe in the corner of Founder's Park. or
So, yeah,
something.
somewhere at that intersection, just once they redesign it.
Yeah.
I know when we met with the state way back, they came to the Historic District Commission, and the person at the time said the state, like, they have a whole division for historic signs. They were very interested in preserving it as well.
Good.
We'll have to, I know, there's some, I think we have an engineer that got a sign that John works with, so we'll have to coordinate with them on the location. But we figured, leading up to the 250th, it's at least something small we can do to try and beautify some things of our history.
Yeah, I think that's great. You made a motion. Any more discussion? Right, all those in favor?
Got it, aye.
Dan and I,
Peter, right?
Kathy, I.
Dave's all right. So the next one is the historic weights and measures. Which are a lot cooler than I thought because I saw them and I have a picture of them, which I can show you. Maybe, does everybody know what the weights and measures look like?
might have one I can find.
I
but-
do.
Yeah, I did too. I just have to share my screen. Okay, here we go. Right. Right. What do you push on share screen? Just,
Up on the top is like a little arrow that you tell it to either share the window or share the screen.
I'll just do that. Content only, add background, screen. Is that it? Okay. So, second.
Oh, here we go. I have some.
Oh, you got it. All right. Wait,
Might have to end here.
there, I got it.
Got it? Sorry, I
Yeah.
just kicked up.
You can't see
Well,
it
you
now.
guys could,
Sheesh.
one of you do it.
So, do you want me to do it?
Yeah,
then?
do it. It popped up as I clicked it. Sorry.
Ah,
If I click this now, I think.
Anyways,
Okay.
so it's in the old museum. Do you want to talk about it, Dan, a little bit?
Oh, yeah,
Kathy?
Kathy's kind of taking a point on this one, I think.
Yeah, why don't you talk about it, Kathy?
Okay, so it was belonged to the town of Mendon. They gave it to the Historical Society and it was on display at the museum until we moved out. I'll give you a quick little recap of what it is. Weights and measures are as used here is actually a legal term for the uniform standards ascribed to quantity, volume, or dimensions of anything. The regulation of weights and measures is necessary for science, industry, blah, 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 blah. It is the importance of establishing uniform national standards was demonstrated by the drafters of the U.S. Constitution, who gave Congress in Article 1, Section 8, the power to fix the standards of weights and measures, as said John Quincy Adams in 1821. Okay, all right, well, whatever. So anyways, every town was weights and measure cabinet was given to every town, and ours has a seal that says the town of Mendon. It is in pristine condition, believe it or not, and it's got all of its pieces and parts, which is very unusual. So what we'd like to do is get it moved into a public viewing area, which we hope to arrange with Jeremy at the town hall. Put in a glass, not a plexiglass plate on the front so that people can see all the different pieces and parts that accompany this weights and measure, and we'll put up an information sign that goes along with it. So, I mean, it's really beautiful, and it's really, a lot of town halls do display their weights and measures, but this one has been kind of hanging out, waiting to be revealed again.
Yeah, it's like in the old museum, just with junk all around it, you know,
Yeah.
totally not
And
displayed.
There's way more too. There's all underneath, there's old, like, I think they're seals for, I assume, the measuring equipment, but there might even be dog tags in there, like dog licensing.
Could be.
There's like liquid measures. There's like a ton more that's like hidden. It'd be nice to have out somewhere.
How quickly could that be moved if it's approved, Kathy?
I'm sorry, what, Mike?
How quickly could that be moved to a public viewing area? Could it be done in conjunction with the planned signing ceremony?
Oh, absolutely. That's the objective, is to get it there for the signing of the declaration.
Okay.
Which
to
is
get it
fine.
into the town hall.
August. And then also, like, you have, you know, money to move it, but don't you have to, like, have some money to put the plexiglass up and just, I don't know, clean it and get it ready for however you're gonna display it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't think the plexiglass is going to be all that expensive, but just maybe roping it off. And we used to have poles. In fact, Ellen might know where they are, to kind of rope it off so people won't, you know, get into the different parts. But yeah, in cleaning it, I mean, look, it's been sitting in that museum for how long? Little pledge will do it just fine.
Did you,
So,
Yeah.
If you only take one bite, I'd go like up to 10, just to make sure it can get done in one without having to go back.
Where are you gonna,
Where do you wanna put it, Kathy?
ideally, I think it would be great upstairs in the meeting, you know, hall there, where this didn't, not where the stage is, but opposite the end of the stage.
Kathy,
It's really sad that it's been, you know, shut up and closed up all this time, especially where the labels are in pristine condition. Most of them have lost their labels. Ours are all intact.
And how old is it?
I believe it was late 1800s, so 1895.
So a couple of things. I had sent Karen the prevailing wage, so hopefully, I don't know if this is, if we were able to get a quote just to make sure that that includes it. It looks like it's about $60 an hour, and I assume it'll have a 4-hour minimum.
it's
Yeah.
more, I think it's more than that.
Yeah, that's, just, and then the other question, would it be worth adding a little extra funding to get, if we don't have something, a display case? Just because I think there's more stuff than just is in that cabinet.
I would go high and just return it if you don't need it, just
Right.
once you start, you want to be able to finish it.
Yeah.
Not come back for,
Right.
with the caveat of anything not expended goes back.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense.
I would like move to recommend that the town transfer up to $10,000 or transfer $10,000 and spend up to $10,000 fund the moving of the historic weights and measures from the museum back to town hall, and the purchase of display cases and materials to exhibit them. Any funds unexpended will be returned to CPA.
Second.
I think too, I think we have to give an exact amount that, you know, transfer, but then the discussion is when we say, any money will come back.
I just covered all the bases of that one.
Well, that, okay.
No, I did say transfer 10 and spend up to.
Okay.
Which I guess if you only transfer 10, you really can't spend more than.
Yeah.
It'll
I
be
just
a
leave it.
redundant motion.
Yeah, we'll just leave that, yeah, okay.
And the real wording of
If we only spend 87, the clause is in there to give the money back.
All right, any more discussion? It's a pretty cool piece, though. I was pretty surprised. Like, I was like, you know, what is it? And then I saw it, and I love the way it's the way, just like, you know, the justice kind of.
I think Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was saying, Kat, that's sort of the type of stuff you wanted to get back into town hall too, you know, just
Absolutely. Yep. Yep. I think this is a good starting point.
Yes.
I think it just wasn't moved to the new museum because they didn't have room and it was too big. So it's just, this like the last piece of stuff that's not able to be viewed, because a lot of the other stuff was moved to their collections. So that's why it's just kind of left here, but I think it's worth investing in.
Yeah. All right, let's vote.
Goddard, aye.
Dan and I.
Mendonma, aye. Peter, aye.
Kathy, I.
Days all right. All right. And then the last one is historic documents. So Kathy, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, Jane has a handful of historic documents that have come in over the past maybe 2 years. One of them was written in 1770, what was it, Rich? 9?
I think it was earlier than that.
All right, so it was discovered by a gentleman out in Townsend, I believe. It's really cool, and I'll share it with all of you, but it was a notice from the selectmen of Mendon declaring that they gave their assurance that the tavern owners in town would support the new patriotic cause, and that they would not be serving Tories, and that what else?
Let me tell a little bit about it. So they found it under a
Sorry.
they found it under a safe, a big safe in that certain place in Boston, and that's how the guy had it. And for some reason, they let his father take it home. So this guy got it back to us. Anyway, Kathy's exactly right. That's exactly what it is. Back then, you would have had to gotten a license, just like you got to get a license now from the selectmen to sell alcohol and all that stuff. But it was with the added requirement to convince the local probate court that the people you wanted to give licenses to were patriots and not Tories. And so they were talking in favor of the people that owned the Keith Inn. The Keith Inn is the house that the whatchamacallits lived in till recently.
Dudleys.
The Dudleys, yes. And that house didn't used to be there. It used to be where the big White Adams house is now. It was them. It was the widow Aldrich, I think, that was on the list, and there was just a whole list of people who needed certain licensure that they were standing up for, saying these people are patriots. And it's a cool document. It's the original document.
And I think also that tavern's more than just a drinking place, but that's where a lot of work got done and political work got done.
Same as today.
When they had town meeting.
But yeah, I think they had.
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Ed.
No, go on. I mean, like, I think that was an official meeting place for important meetings. Is that true?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. When Nathan Hale was there, there was a lot of there were town meetings held at the tavern to discuss, the problems with the British. So,
That's true.
They were
but
very
mainly what they
important
wanted
information centers.
Yes, that's mainly true. But what they really wanted is to know that they could go in and formally have conversations and discuss things without being worried about being spied on by the Tories, because they know they weren't there.
All right. Did everybody get that? There's your history lesson for the day.
Yeah, that means my wife's shutting me off.
Thank you. Not for shutting him off, but for explaining it.
You can thank me for that.
I'm taking the first way.
So is it one document you're restoring or more than that?
No, there's a handful of documents, and they're all, some of them start, date back to the early or mid to late 1700s. Jane is getting a quote from Green Dragon Bindery. And what they do is they clean the documents, make sure there's no mold or anything that would stain or damage the paper any further, and then they put them in protective sleeves. So if I had to guess, I'd say there's at least between $5,000 and $8,000 worth of work or documents that can be preserved.
Okay,
That's good stuff.
Unfortunately, it's an expensive process, but it's worth it in the long run.
so we could vote a dollar amount, and then we do have another meeting before the town meeting, so we could change it, but just in case we can't get a quorum at the next meeting, we should vote on it. What do you think?
Sure.
I'm fine with that.
Does someone want to make a motion then?
What's the
A
amount?
dollar
I would
amount?
recommend that the town transfer $10,000 to the ZBA historical account to fund the historical society for the restoration of historic Mendon documents.
All right.
Second.
All right, any more discussion?
Mikey did.
Hmm?
Mike did.
I second. Second.
No, I said any more discussion.
Sorry,
Oh,
I
that's
thought
okay.
you said anybody seconded.
All right, all those in favor?
Got it,
Dan, I,
Mendel, aye. You're right.
Kathy, I.
And make a right.
sorry, I do have a question.
Oh, okay, what's the
These-
question?
Once restored, these will be in the custody of the Historic Society.
Yeah, I think.
No, I'm fine with that, I just.
Yeah. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
historical society that's requesting the funding.
Got it.
You're gonna keep it up in Benita's house?
Yeah, is that the idea to keep it in the museum?
Yeah, I mean, I think we are looking at possibly transferring them into the vault at the town hall,
I think that makes
just to
sense.
make sure that they are absolutely secure and free from any danger of fire or moisture. Because we do not have a very adequate heating system, HVAC system at Bonita's yet.
And the documents have the same look and feel as most of the documents that you find in the vault that are either the meeting minutes or whatever. They fit in quite nicely into what we have there if we moved them there.
Yeah, and of course, the next step is to get them digitized so that people can actually see them. I mean, the vault is a lovely spot. We know they'll be protected, but no one ever gets to know what's in the vault.
And that's why you need copies of that stuff so people can see it. You're gonna spend the money to do it.
Yeah. So on those last three items, the historic ones, I think having pictures of all the items and an explanation, Kathy, Dan, Rich.
Yep.
Just for the town meeting, okay, so just be ready for that.
Yeah.
All right, and also, I'll give you an application to fill out, just so that it's, a simple form, but for the request, we're trying to do that now. All right, thank you. Does anybody else have anything else? No? Someone want to make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Kathy, I.
Somebody yawn.
Aye.
I know that was a long meeting for us.
All right, thank you. I'm gonna
Good night.
stop the recording.
Night, Kath.
All right.